I am interested though. Come on down. You got your smoothie, huh? Good. There was a there's a lady ordered 8 of them in front of you, huh?
Bro, 8 of them?
Was it really 8, or are you just ballparking it?
I'm counting
You're
the tray.
The
she
number
filled up the whole tray, 2 trays.
The number that they're. Oh, so it wasn't like one at a time out of the window.
Well, no.
It was just here's your tray of 4 smoothies.
Well, she was inside, so it wasn't cars outside.
You were inside or you were in line?
I was outside.
You were in line. Got it.
And so my thought is there was one truck in front of me.
You were on Burbank?
Yes.
Who goes in at that store? Nobody goes in at that store.
This lady goes in.
That's surprising.
And this lady also talks on the phone while she's there. So dude's trying to take the money while making her 8 smoothies.
Oh.
And she was outside. So he had to wait for her to come from outside the door, waiting to inside. But I see him make my smoothie. Like, I see it. It's the green one,
it's
bro.
It's right there.
It's right there. Because she ordered 8 before I ordered my 1, just because you got her 8 done doesn't mean you have to finish that transaction before just giving me my smoothie.
So it's finished. Your smoothie is blended.
I'm looking at it.
Oh, man. That's when. Oh, see, you're better than me because, RC, I'm honking on the horn.
You're not that guy.
Yes, I am that guy. I'm like, hey, man, you just gave me my smoothie.
See, so I
am that guy.
I'm not like that. I don't do that. And then you can tell.
This is common courtesy. My smoothie's right there. Hand it to me. This is common etiquette.
It's not common etiquette.
That is common etiquette.
If they have a process of how they do it, maybe the process is you finish with that person.
Had you paid yet?
No, I hadn't paid. That's what I'm saying. So I couldn't just, And the other piece of it is, Matt, we don't understand what the Smoothie King processes are.
Matt?
You have to be Matt right now because you hunk at people in drive-thrus.
Okay. Talk to my wife about this.
And you clearly will let people just do anything to your food. Because if you could you imagine going to Popeyes and honking at people?
Okay, but here's the difference. You just said you saw your smoothies blended already. It's done. Like, and in that moment, if my eye is on it,
then they can't do nothing to it.
And if you're going to do anything to it, now I'm with you. See, like at a restaurant, I will never send food back ever.
No, you can't.
If my food's bad, I'm just never going back there.
Yeah, I agree.
But I will never send food back because
you know, telling what you're gonna get.
That's my point. So no, I'm not dumb. But if I'm looking at my smoothie, I'm not like laying on the horn. I'm giving up beep beep.
Just so you look out, so you can say, "Oh, that's my joint right here."
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
Slide it this way.
I'll allow that.
Yeah, that's all.
I allow it.
All right.
But I made it though.
You did, and it was a grand entrance. I was going to explain my tweet with you.
Go ahead.
But I think
it's pretty explanatory.
It's pretty self-explanatory. Your text was better though, because your text to me was before you tweeted. Your text said, "Headed that way, Smoothie King is tripping." Like, how does Smoothie King trip?
Because I was trying to figure out why the dude in front of me wasn't moving.
I read that. I'm like, I mean that because that could be interpreted so many ways. Like what is going on at the Smoothie King that would lead it to trip to where you would be late? And now I know it was the lady.
That's what it
ordered
was.
8 smoothies.
The lady in front of me.
Man. Did you
I have a new phone too, and I don't really know how to work it.
What kind of phone you got?
I got an 11 something or another.
The iPhone 11?
Yeah.
3 cameras on the back?
Yeah.
You know what's cool about that? Whenever you're doing a video and you can hit the little button and it'll give you the panorama or like the wide shot.
I don't know how to do any of that.
I'll show you real quick in the break. It's easy.
Yeah, I don't know how to do it.
But it's pretty cool.
And I hate the whole thing. I had an 8. It was working fine, and then it just stopped working.
So we talked about this yesterday, as a matter of fact. I had a 6S Plus, so it took me a long time in between phones. Like I'll ride it till it's.
Oh
like,
yeah, my phone
done.
had to cut off for me to stop using it.
Samesies.
As long as it texts and calls, I'm good with it.
Well, I need a little more than that. What
were we talking about?
Scott Linehan.
The guy from Dallas not too long ago.
So he's been all over the league, though. Really, I mean,
he is very experienced. He's a really experienced coach, and he's taking the worst job in football.
Why is this the worst job in football?
I wouldn't take it.
Why?
I mean, I'd take it if I just needed a job. It was the best job in football last year.
I see what you're saying.
It's the worst job now.
Because there's nowhere
to go but down, brother. He's not there. There is no way he's going to do something, even with this group of individuals on this team, where you still have Jamar Chase and you have Terrace Marshall Jr. You have a 5-star and a 4-star running back entering their second year. You have Chris Curry, who comes on in the semifinals of the college football playoffs and shows that he's a guy that should get some time. Don't matter. Won't be as good as last year. Won't be close. And so when you look at that, it's how will his job be evaluated? How much was Joe Brady's influence, not necessarily the calling of plays, but the diagramming, the study? So when you are looking at the self-scout, or when you're scouting other teams throughout the week, what the passing game coordinator does, what the offensive coordinator does, is he develops a game plan. So it's not so much about who can dial up the right plays at the right time, because that's execution. You know, you need to, there are some plays that Jamar Chase made that Jamar Chase just made, or Joe Burrow, he just made those plays. But in putting things together throughout the week, when you look at the film and you figure out what's going on or how you will attack this team, there's a science to that. There's something that is learned, but also some people have an innate ability to figure it out on the go. And I think Joe, I don't know if this was Joe Brady, right? But I tell people all the time, when people would kind of try to poo-poo what he meant to LSU, when Drew Brees kind of poo-pooed him and said, well, we're talking about the guy that doesn't call plays. When he did that, which I thought was shady, when he did that, I thought to myself, yes, but only one thing's changed, right? We have the same, many of the same group of individuals, and only one thing's changed, that dude. Yeah. And it looked like this one year, and the next year it looked like that. And so I think he had a large influence on that. I'm not saying that Scott Linehan can't come in and make a difference and be a good coach. Also, the things that you carry over from Joe Brady that Insminger was a part of throughout the week, and that other people on the staff were a part of throughout the week, you hope those things stick. But I just think it's a tough job to take when you're taking over offense that probably had the greatest college football year of all time.
Scored more points than any team in the history of the game.
And so when you look at that, I just think it's a very difficult, I guess, encore to be a part of.
You know what I hate, though? Since we've been sitting here talking, I have shrunk 4 inches. The hydraulics on this chair driving me nuts. It just.
Would you like to switch? You're the host, man. I'll switch with you.
Do you know that yesterday I had like?
Are you for real right now, bro?
Look. Yesterday in a break, they got to, dude. I got a temper.
Bro, I was on TV with for the Super Bowl, Sage Steele, who's already my height, and her chair was really high.
She's tall?
Yeah, she's like
really? Okay.
5'11", 5'10".
Okay, I didn't know that.
So she was in her chair, and her chair was all the way up. And I was with Teddy Bruschi, and his chair was all the way up. And mine wouldn't come up anymore. And so they kept saying, Ryan, come up, come up. But the other two, Sage and Teddy, wouldn't come down. So too much headspace. Right. So I get off. I try to get another chair. That chair doesn't work either. So eventually, I just ended up being shorter than everybody else in the set. But I wasn't really tripping because I feel like I'm tougher than both of those people.
The funniest thing.
So it's cool.
A lot of people probably don't just watching. You don't think of it, but like when you just think about when you watch like inside the NBA and Shaq, and all of their heads are at the same level. But Shaq, the table is like right.
Shaq's chair is on the ground. Like he's sitting on a step stool.
It's so good.
Shaq is sitting on a step stool, bro.
Oh, man. Okay, so.
Such a big man.
Scott Linehan.
Yes.
When you played, were you aware, or did you have an opinion of Scott Linehan?
Not at all. Not at all. I think when you're playing, you're not necessarily focused on who the play caller is as much as you're focused on the plays that they call. This is, now that I'm out of ball and I have to watch it in a different way, that was kind of when Scott Linehan became someone that you paid attention to. And the main reason was he's with the Dallas Cowboys. And that's a team that you're going to talk about day in and day out. And in talking about them, you can go back to Dak and Zeke's, rookie year, which was an extremely good year. I think he was there. I think he was, the passing game coordinator in 16?
In 14, and then he became the OC in 15. So that's when Dak showed up.
Right, and so, so he was around for those things, for some of those successes. And, you see a guy like that, get ousted. But it was more so because I think they loved Kellen Moore, and they wanted to see what he could be in Dallas. So I don't necessarily know if that was his fault. He's a good offensive mind. He has great kids and great young men to coach here. The big thing is going to be building on the momentum of last year. I will say the thing that concerns me when you start to look at this coaching staff, and I don't know, I'm going to try to work my way into saying this to where people aren't like I'm a racist. It's getting a lot older and a lot whiter, right? And so you think DJ leaves. Obviously, someone was already in that position.
Okay. Bill Johnson.
Right. Bill Johnson was already in that position. Now you lose Joe Brady, who obviously, I have no problem with him being white. Like, I don't care about that. But he was also younger, and he connected with the kids. And when if he sits in your office without having to have the backing of Ed Ogeron and some of these other recruiters, he's a guy I know can go into New Orleans, can go into Miami, go into Houston, and connect with the younger generation in a way that I don't know necessarily if some of these older coaches can. Mm-hmm. You also look at Scott Linehan. He's a guy who hasn't had to do that. Right. He hasn't had to go recruit some of these kids. He hasn't had to go down to Warren Easton. He hasn't had to go to Rommel. He hasn't had to go to some of these places and say, okay, here's what you'll get if you play for me. Here's the type of man you will deal with day to day. And I'm not saying that he can't be a great recruiter. I'm not saying that, that this staff can't do a great job. But I do think, we mentioned Kevin Falk maybe coming on if Coach Robinson leaves. I think that's huge. I believe it's needed to have a younger coach, to have a coach that has Louisiana State University ties and also has a pedigree and a resume that can resonate on the recruiting trails, because I believe that's important.
You've been around the program enough, like, that what this staff feels about Kevin. And this almost because so I don't know anything. This is just me editorializing. Tommie Robinson, associate head coach, recruiting coordinator, making $600,000 a year at the defending national champions. Why are you going to South Carolina? Like, right. You're not, unless if you're told
we're trying to move you out. Take the job.
Take that interview.
Yeah, and I think that happens. Just being around there. I know the kids feel very close to Kevin.
Yes.
They trust Kevin. And I think there's just something very natural. And I'm sure none of these dudes that play for LSU actually ever saw him play.
Yeah.
But you hear it. You know what he means to the school. And sometimes when a guy played running back at the level that Kevin Falk played it, both in college and in the NFL, for the people that he played for at the next level and played with, there's going to be information that Kevin Falk can share that sounds nothing like information you get anywhere else. And even if you don't understand it, you understand how much experience and wisdom went into that thought. And it makes you want more of it. And so from a recruiting standpoint, from a coaching standpoint, I believe if that is the next step, that will be a hire I am extremely excited about, in having a guy like Kevin, an alum and LSU legend on the staff.
Ryan Clarkson studio with us. By the way, if you don't yet, make sure you subscribe to the Face First podcast, iTunes, Podbean, and on the DB Precision YouTube channel. The episode that dropped yesterday is RC talking about his time in Miami, as he called it the best week ever.
It was the best week.
I don't want to speak for you, but you know what is amazing though about working with you on that? Now, I don't do anything but push the buttons, but you come in here with no notes, no script. You sit and you just flow for like 30 minutes, which is really impressive.
You do that every day though, but on a 3-hour show.
But I prep a lot, and I have my notes, and I have a direction. Like, here's my rundown. I know everything is very structured here. You just sit and go.
Well, here's the difference.
You don't stop.
If I have a guest, I need to have all of that, because you have to understand where the guest is from, what his experience will be, how you'll ask him questions, if you have follow-ups. And so there's a setup that goes along to that. The times I haven't brought notes, it's just been me. And normally, if I come in here to talk about something, it means I've talked about it a lot amongst friends and amongst family. Because, like I said at the beginning of the show, it's my show. I get to talk about stuff I want to talk about.
Right.
And so what happens is you have all of these things that are burning inside of you. And if you work for ESPN, if you work here and you host AFR, there's a certain thing that the news cycle demands from you. And it says, you know what, Matt, today, like Scott Linehan, the people want to hear about this.
I know.
And I'm not saying you don't want to talk about it, but whether you want to talk about it or not, that's something that is required of you, because it's what people want to hear.
LSU, Missouri tonight.
Right. Right, exactly. Like, see me? Like, I don't care. And so, and getting to talk about, especially what I talked about with Tyron and Troy and Kobe, like, those were things I felt and I was thinking about in my car. And so when I get here, the only problem with not having notes is it's like, okay, you might talk about one thing for 10 minutes, another thing for 2 minutes. But if I do that, that means those were the only thoughts I wanted to get out. And
it was your truth.
And then you tie it up in the little bow, and then you go back to traction and train people.
So make sure you're subscribed to the Face First podcast.
I'm going to stay for another segment because we haven't talked about football yet.
Okay. Well, let's break. I was going to ask a follow-up, but let's break. We'll come back. We'll talk about football with RC. Stay here. RC said, who's this?
And you said Gwen Stefani.
Stefani?
I don't know who it is.
It's not wrong.
It's not wrong.
It's not wrong.
It's not wrong.
It is Gwen Stefani.
But it also was not the question that was being asked.
Alex Milazzo. He's a freshman catcher from Zachary. This will be his walk-up music.
Bro, speaking of people that played baseball, even though this guy didn't, so I don't know how I got to this.
Look how much taller I am in the chair now.
Oh.
I just popped up.
Bro, I don't mind. I'm cool. I'm very comfortable.
It won't lower now.
What about Mondo, bro?
Dude, did you hear the call, the Polish call of the
You told me about it. I didn't get to hear it.
I'm going to pull it up real quick. It was so good,
but
man.
Dude, Jordan was jumping in the indoor track meets his senior year. He would coach the other kids.
Mondo would?
Yes, because all the other kids would jump and be done by the time he'd even start because they'd have to start his bar so much higher than they finished. So the kids would go, they would vault, come to the side, ignore their coaches, and go listen to Mondo.
So
and he
good.
would talk to him. He would have on a sweatsuit. These dudes sweating in their little bitty shorts and tights, working hard as they can to jump over like 10 foot. And then they'd finish and they'd be like, now we'll move the pole up to 18 feet, 6 inches.
Well, here, this is the call in Polish. This is the call in Polish from TVT Sport.
Pięknie płynie po tym rozbiegu. W górę Mondo. Jest rekord świata w Toruniu. Ależ to był skok. Ależ to była próba.
Two guys just yelling over each other.
So, do you want to know why it's great?
Why?
Because it sounds like curse words the whole time to me. It sounds like from the time it starts, dude is swearing. I'm sure he's not.
He might be.
No, because in Poland, they would know. We don't.
But does it matter? Like, you can have naked nudity in commercials over there.
Come on, Matt. They're not cussing the whole time.
They might be.
They're not. It's
this,
better for me to think
I know
they
this
are.
about Europe. Europe is on a completely different plane when it comes to cursing than the United States.
Oh, it's bad.
That's my point. Like, they might be.
So there was this guy. He was a hockey player, and he actually trained where we trained in Arizona. Me, James Harris, and all of us. And so we're playing Danny ball against each other.
What's Danny
and
ball?
It's 2-on-2 volleyball in the sand with a 10-pound medicine ball.
Okay.
Right? And so I don't curse now, really. But when I played, I hardly ever cursed. Like on Sunday, when I was hype about football, would be the only time you can get me to curse. And this was like for a decade. And so I'm playing against this guy, and he keeps cursing. But he's not actually cursing me when he talks to me. He is just cursing while talking.
His adjectives are curse words.
Right. And so, but at this time, one, I'm aggressive now, but I'm older, and I've learned that you can't live life like this. It was way worse back then. So the first, I'm like, say, bro, when you talk to me, don't curse me, dog. Like, straight up. Because back then, in my mind, if you curse me, you want to fight. Like, that's how I looked at it. Because if I cursed you, that meant I want to fight.
Right.
Like, on Sundays, if I cursed you in the game, I was okay with us fighting.
Okay.
I felt like it was a time to fight.
Who did you curse the most?
Wes Walker.
Okay.
Yes.
That's right.
Yeah. And so Matt, tell us, dude, hey, bro, don't cuss me no more. So we start debating a call again, and he curses me again. So now, at this time, I walk under the net, right? And we're like face to face. And all I could tell him was, say, dog, I know your sport promotes fighting, right? You guys fight. But I just want to tell you, dog, we ain't on no skates. Right? So if we throw, it's not going to be like that. Grab your shirt, punch you with this one hand, and the one who has the best balance on his ice skate win. Right? Like, you really going to have to hard down, fight me in this sand. I was so mad, but he couldn't stop cussing.
That's just what he does.
He couldn't fix it. Everything was like a effing something. I was like, bruh, you F-bomb me one more time. And I know he thought I was stupid because he kept trying to explain to me, Ryan, I am not cussing you. I said, I don't care. I want you to stop cussing in general when you're talking to me because you're raising your voice, one, because you're excited. So it makes me feel like you're saying F me,
right?
Not F this game.
Right.
And I have an issue with that. And now I want to fight. And sorry, I got off.
Hang on. Oh, I'm going to write something down real quick. Never curse around RC.
You can curse around me now. I'm better.
never
I'm much
cursing around
better
you
now.
ever again.
I'm much better now.
I will never curse around you ever again. All right, we got a couple more minutes with RC. So Linehan's coming in as a passing game coordinator. Do you think that outside looking in, this kind of looks like maybe Ed Orgeron playing a little defense, right? He went young up-and-comer who used this as a springboard. Is this maybe playing defense against that, a little more of a stable hire that might stick around, might even be a replacement for Ensminger?
You know what? I don't know if you necessarily look at it that way. I think you look at getting the best man for the job at the time. And I believe that Coach Orgeron believes that Scott Linehan is the best man to perform the job he was hired to do. And I think they'll look to carry over many of the principles from last year, which really was an NFL offense. It was an NFL offense from 11 personnel, which is one back, one tight end, called kings sometimes, in certain 3-4 alignments from a defensive standpoint. And so I think he feels that Scott Linehan is the best man to do the job, or the best man available to do the job. I don't believe that you can go with planning and saying, you know what, I want to have this guy here to stay here, because you hope to have a program that wins so much that people come to get your dudes. And I tweeted it the week after we won the championship. I said, hey, we all wanted to beat Alabama. Welcome to being Alabama. This is what it is. Your players will leave, some of which you weren't necessarily anticipating leaving, and your coaches will be poached. And it's not looking at a job as a springboard. It's doing a job so well at a young age that it becomes a springboard. Mm-hmm. If LSU doesn't play the way it does last year, people aren't asking a coach who was only an actual assistant for 15 games to be their offensive coordinator.
In the NFL.
In the NFL. You see what I'm saying?
It's so ridiculous.
You see what I'm saying?
And
so what it was, I did a good enough job that I can move on. And in doing that great job, LSU wasn't going to move Coach Ensminger out of his position. Mm-hmm. So there was no up for Joe Brady. And the other part about now being the offensive coordinator of the Carolina Panthers, if that doesn't work, if it does work, you become a head coach, mm-hmm. right? If it doesn't work, you know what happens the minute you're fired? Every team who slightly struggled on offense in college, or any team who struggled for real where there's an opening, anybody who loses an offensive coordinator, who they going to go get? Joe Brady. Yeah. They're going to want some of that 2019 LSU magic at their school. And so it was a no-brainer for him to leave. He earned that. And so now I think Coach Orgeron was tasked with finding someone who can continue the success of last year, and he feels like Scott Linehan is that guy.
On the field, when LSU heads into spring, there's going to be a ton of storylines. We can maybe hit some of these quickly. What do you think or hope that they achieve in spring?
Finding a quarterback.
But is it realistic?
Is it realistic? Probably not, right? You probably have to continue this battle into training camp to truly find a guy.
Would you?
I think here's when I think that's a problem. It's a good thing when you have 3 dudes that are flat out ballers and you just can't figure out which one to pick, right? When one of those guys is named Dwayne Haskins and the other one's named Joe Burrow. Yeah. That's a problem I want. Oh my goodness. I don't know which one of these 2 first-rounders is going to be my quarterback.
You go back to 14 at Ohio State when Cardale Jones was the third guy when they won a championship.
Absolutely. When you have that issue because you can't get a quarterback, you can't decide on a quarterback until training camp, That's a good issue. When you don't know if any of them are going to be good enough to take the job, I believe that's a problem. And so you hope that somebody comes into the spring and wows them and blows them away. Now, I don't necessarily expect that to happen unless it's Miles Brennan. I believe coming into the spring, he has a leg up in age and experience and opportunity. And so if he comes in and he blows it away, that's what you want to hear. You want to hear that he came out and he grabbed this job and it's now his. If you take this thing in the training camp, it tells me you don't have any of them.
Yeah.
You don't have a guy. And you want to, you want to have a dude the same way that Saban played around and acted like there was a decision between Tua Tagovailoa and Jalen Hurts. It was not, bro.
Right.
And what's crazy about that is one of those dudes had won 20-something starts and only lost 1 or 2 games.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? But you knew the other dude was that much better. We don't necessarily have that issue right now, and that's scary because we're going to be good. Like, there's 5 stars and 4 stars all around this field, and they're pros everywhere. You're going to be good, but does the new normal become we got to win 11 of them, we got to win 12 of them on our opportunities, or is winning 9 in the regular season in a bowl game that puts you at 10, is that enough now for LSU and their $7 million a year coach?
Yeah.
You got to try to figure that out.
Last thing, and we'll get to a lot of this, I'm sure. We'll have you back around springtime. But in the secondary, you lose, obviously, Delpit, and
Fulton.
you lose Christian. You carry Vincent back, which feels like, man, you get a really veteran guy who's coming back. How else do they look back there?
Getting Jacoby back, getting Carey back. You hope Todd comes back healthy.
Do you think, because you said on this show, if you were Jacoby, you would go into the coach's office and say, move me to linebacker.
I would say, I'd be like, hey, you see what Patrick Queen did last year?
Yeah.
Let me do that.
You still think that they should move him to linebacker?
I think he should want to move to linebacker. I don't necessarily know if they should. I don't know what's going to be the difference in the way that they play on the back end now with Bo Pelini as the defensive coordinator. I just think it's a good fit for him. I believe it's a great college fit for him, and backers have turned into that. We see the Darius Leonards, and we see the Quan Alexanders and the Deion Jones. We see those guys being able to run, move around, be cover guys, and be very effective in the NFL. And so I think he would have a shot. It's not, and I don't want this to be he can't play safety, because I believe he can. But I also believe they had to protect him in certain ways. And for him, when I'm cutting on the film and I say, okay, they're protecting you in college, I'm going to have to try to find a way to protect you in the NFL. That means a position move for me. So I say get ahead of it.
Yeah.
Right? Get ahead of it and show him, you know what? I'm not going to be a guy that you have to move to the will backer to see if he can play. I'm a guy who could be your starter. I'm a guy who can do this week in and week out on Sundays or in prime time on Mondays and Thursdays. And I think that's important. But you look at the secondary, obviously, Derek Stingley's going to get 10 balls all year, and they're going to be on accident. Right? It's going to be an accident.
And he's going to be a consensus All-American again.
And he should. You know what? Because they're just going to have to make him a consistent.
It was the same thing with Pat Pete in 2010.
Yeah,
nobody threw it.
They're just going to be like, man, look, hopefully you get 3 picks on these 10 balls they throw you so we can have some stats to throw up next to your name at the Walter Camp celebration or whatever. But, bro, you're not going to get the ball. Right? He played in the championship and he didn't get the ball.
Yeah.
In training Christian Fulton at IMG, we were going through interviews, right? And so we all had to play somebody. Somebody played a coach. Somebody was a GM, whatever. I was the DB coach. And that was my question. I said, so explain to me, how is it that, you're a guy we're thinking about drafting the first 2 rounds of the draft, and they chose to throw at you in the championship more than they threw at an 18-year-old, right? And the rest of that is not necessarily the point, but the point is that is the question because of what we saw.
Yeah.
We saw that they didn't want to go that way, right? And when they did, it wasn't successful. And so, and this is the championship.
I know,
and this is with pros on the outside. Like, these guys are going to be drafted and drafted high. The quarterback's going to be the first overall pick of the draft next year. No matter what I think about him, he's going to be the first overall pick of the draft. And you know what he said too?
I'll go the other way.
Go the other way. I like the right side anyway. My right eye is better than my left eye, so I'd rather throw it that way.
I'm going to file that one away, and we'll have to talk about that.
File it away.
How did I not ask you about Bo Pelini, too? I forgot you haven't been here since they hired Bo Pelini. All right. Well, that'll be a tease for the next time you come.
Next time, we're going to talk Bo Pelini.
We'll talk spring football because we'll be close to it. We'll preview all that.
When does spring start?
What's the date? They announced it. Do you know? They announced it. I forgot.
Way to go, Muso. Way to have to look at the computer.
I should know
What are
that
you
too.
here
I
for?
forgot.
Why are you here, bro?
Next month.
Gosh.
I'm just going to say next month.
Tom Brady.
Where's he going to play next year?
I don't know. But is he not enjoying free agency?
You think so?
Oh, he's.
The attention?
Oh, my goodness. Setting thirst traps on Instagram, liking posts. It is ridiculous. And I'm talking about I love it.
How good was the Super Bowl ad, man? When he just trolled everybody with
Bro.
the post before
And this is and so I said it. I was like, this is a thirst trap, guys. You know what he wants? He wants every team that wants him to come to him to be in his comments, or every fan to be like, oh, Tommy, come to Tennessee, come to LA, woo. And he wants every Patriot fan to basically cry in there. And the dude been playing for Bill Belichick for 2 decades. He's the greatest quarterback of all time, and the man treats him like a nobody.
Isn't that weird?
It's freaking awesome. That's why they win. But after a while, it's like, bro, I won 6 Super Bowls. I've been to 9. I'm married to a supermodel. You're going to put some respect on my name. You
And
understand?
you don't go order 8 smoothies in front of me at Smoothie King and make me wait. My
Yeah,
horn,
that's
my horn,
okay.
you're going to bring me my smoothie
I'm
first.
not gonna blow my horn.
Well, you can just tap it.
That's
You don't have to lay. You
that's
just,
rude,
you just-
Matt. It's rude,
A little beep, a bip.
Matt. It's
See,
rude.
I think this was actually an episode of Curb Your Enthusiasm. It's the amount of force
Pressure?
and vigor within the horn. If it's an or if it's a bip, bip, just like a bip, you're just getting your attention. You can't be too aggressive.
if they wanted you to be able to put them on notice, they would put a bell outside the window.
Now in traffic, you cut me off, I'm laying on the horn for probably 2 miles down the road
why?
because
It solves no.
yeah,
purpose.
it does. It lets them know they screwed up and they better never do it again.
That's not what it lets them know.
That's what it lets them know.
It doesn't let
Lets
them know
that
that.
they're a jerk face.
They don't care.
I would have just cursed, but we're on radio, and I don't
It
want
does-
you to think I'm cursing at you, and then we fight.
They don't care. That
Well,
you
they're
would,
gonna.
they're not going
They're
to.
gonna learn.
They're going to do the same thing.
No, they're
Your
gonna figure it
little
out.
bitty horn doesn't bother
Do
him.
you know how many people
You
ever
have a
since I went
small
on a rant?
horn, Matt.
I went on
Nobody
a rant.
cares about your
I'm
horn.
ignoring that. I went on a rant. I went on a rant about people who are rude and leave their shopping carts in the middle of a grocery.
I don't like
parking lot.
that.
Okay, I hate that too.
I don't like that.
I went on a rant about that, about lazy people who won't go return their shopping cart. And you know how many times last night I went and met a friend for dinner, and we were sitting at the bar, and the bartender came up and said, "Hey man, I listen to your show every day. I want to tell you this. I heard your rant about the shopping carts, and I thought to myself, I do that. And ever since, I've never left my shopping cart in the parking lot again. I always bring it back. I said, that's why you do it. We're affecting change in this world, RC.
Not by laying on your horn, Matthew.
Yes, we are. One at a time. He's Ryan Clark. Subscribe to the Face First podcast. We'll be back. It's AFR.